Thank you for taking the time to check out the Inside Myanmar podcast. If you like what you hear, we would be very grateful if you might consider rating, reviewing, and/or sharing this podcast. Every little bit of feedback helps. Also, be sure to subscribe to the Inside Myanmar podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever else you get your podcasts. And if your feed is not in your podcast player, please let us know and we will ensure it can be offered there.
And welcome back, everybody. Today we are hearing directly from the horse's mouth, the National Unity Government itself. We have a very esteemed guest here to cover a range of topics around the conflict as it exists right now, and also the increasingly optimistic view that everyone in the international community and indeed everyone in the pro-democracy camp in Myanmar has for the country. Kyaw Zaw, I would like to welcome you to the program. Thank you for coming and give you the opportunity to introduce yourself for our audience.
Well, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. My name is Kyaw Zaw. I'm the spokesperson for the Office of the President, National Unity Government of Myanmar. And then I'm very excited to be on this episode. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right. Thank you for giving us your time. So let's start with the biggest story, Operation 1027. So we've got massive fronts pushing in from around Shan State against the military. The military's been retreating for some time. Everyone's talking about it. So what can you tell us about Operation 1027 and the let's say the revolution since then?
Yeah, this is a very exciting moment for us and for resistance forces. And then, as you mentioned, the 1027 is like a military was surprised, I believe, and then also the revolution. It shows that revolution forces strength, unity, and coordination. Launched the massive offensive across Myanmar, not only the northern Shan State. At the same time, and that this operation demonstrates that weakened state of the military and how military is fragile, how military is collapsing, and the many prior to that last year, if asked the many observer analysts, they will say the military is too strong to be fall. And but we are saying that military will fall. Definitely, military is collapsing. This operations is a showpiece of that how weakened state of the military. So that this 1027 Operation 1027 launched by the Three Brotherhood, that is MNDAA Kokhan, TNLA Ta'aw, and AA Rakhine. They launched that operation in northern Shan State. This is a coordinated offensive. That's why the other regions and the states across Myanmar and the resistance forces coordinated attack against the military forces across Myanmar. So within a month, over 200 military bases. Most of them are strategically important military bases for the regime or junta. And then also at least dozens of towns fall into the resistance forces. So this is, and then more importantly, the military surrender by battalions and after the battalions. So this is the unprecedented time, and that this is a turning point in this revolution. So it shows that we are winning, and that we are fighting together, and then military is collapsing, and the military will fail, and that this revolution will be succeeded. And that this is a time that people power and their unity and their strength and coordinated efforts. And we are proving that, we are demonstrating that.
So let's talk a little bit about this, because 2021, we had a lot of respected authors, a lot of respected journalists and analysts talking about how strong the Myanmar military is and how difficult a revolution would be. And the Myanmar military used to be considered it was the second largest military in continental Southeast Asia after Vietnam. The Tatmadaw had for a very long time been talking about this 500,000 size as their objective. They claimed to have about 400,000 before the coup. And now we're seeing, battalions surrendering, and these battalions only have 120 men in them. And they're just giving up their bases. And the analysts all of a sudden have changed, and they're saying, well, now the military will certainly lose. What's happened in 2 years that has changed this military from being one of the biggest in Southeast Asia to just a series of failures?
Yeah, the Myanmar country itself is under the military dictatorship for decades, 60 years, over 60 years. So the military is a sole institution, the organized institution in Myanmar. So people thought that it's the strongest institution. And then also that even prior to the revolution, the military portrayed themselves as strong, but actually the military itself is very weak. The reason is that the fighting power of the military is getting weak. The reason is that the military itself became the corrupted organization. The people join the military, especially the officers and above and generals, for their own personal benefits. And they thought that they can make a lot of money and then fortune. And then, so instead of focusing on the ability to fight, they focus on their wealth. That's how the military is corrupted, and then that's how military is disorganized. On the surface, it may look like the organized institution, but inside they are fighting each other. So that, and then also the number that you mentioned, 400,000, 500,000, that number was inflated by the commanders and generals themselves. For example, battalion commanders, and that they could inflate the number, and they collected the salaries of those soldiers and rank and files, and instead of, for example, let's say that supposed to be each battalions have about 500 in the past. Actually, the 700 or 750 in each battalions, and then lately before the coup, maybe about 400, 500, but the actual strength may be 200, 300, and then they inflated the numbers. And after the revolutions, they've been receiving a lot of casualties, and then a lot of men deserted the bases. So that's how that you see that like say that the battalions, whole battalions will have about 100 plus men and the fighting force. So that's how the military is weak. And then yes, they still have a lot of fighting, the heavy equipments and the planes, jet fighters, and the heavy artilleries that resistance forces do not have. But most importantly, they are demoralizing right now, because they know that they are fighting to death for the reason, for no reasons, and then they know that they are failing, they will lose. So that they demoralizing. So that's why they surrender even the full battalions. And on the ground, the battlefield, and the whole battalions being wiped out by the resistance forces. And after the 20th December, it became more apparent. So that's how now the observers are shocked to see, oh my gosh, and then military is so weak, and then it may not have a 400,000 as used to say 2.5 years ago, or it may now have only about less than 100,000 fighting force, or even some even say about 80,000. So who knows? But definitely what we know and what is the truth is that military is weaker than it portrayed in a few years ago. Military weaker, not only weaker, military is collapsing, and then they internally you can see the crack among themselves, and then they are sacrificing their rank and file for the handful of correct generals, the top generals, for their greed of the power and the wealth.
So then, let's talk a little bit about these defections, because that's been something that has also been fascinating and has changed. Initially, the word that I was receiving was that although some people were defecting, it was more common for soldiers to simply desert, run back to their home villages and try to hide. And the defections were predominantly coming from supporting units, the less combat-oriented units. And initially, in the first 2 years of the revolution, the light infantry divisions, who are famous for their war crimes, particularly 22nd, 33rd, 77th, and 99th, they were not defecting at all. They stood fast and they, continued carrying out their terrorist offensives. But now we're seeing light infantry division battalions surrendering. Why would they be defecting, and what can a defecting soldier expect? Can they expect to be put on trial? Can they expect to be, investigated? What is waiting for them if they defect?
For the defectors, and we already announced that we'll welcome them warmly. We are asking them to leave the military junta, and that they are military junta is the running the country, like you just mentioned, that terrorizing the country, terrorizing the people of Myanmar, terrorizing the civilians. So those units being used to terrorize the civilians, and then they were forced to do that war crimes on behalf of the junta. So yes, the soldiers will have to obey the orders from the above, but soldier doesn't need to do that if they leave that the terrorist military. So that's why that we are encouraging them to do the CDM, if not simply deserted or defected to the revolution side. So we will welcome them warmly, and as you can see that we give them accommodation, even not only military personnel rank and files, but also to their families. And now we are encouraging military, police, and their militia to leave the junta and change the side to the people's side. This way that they will correct their past mistake, and then not only they can. This is the only way to guarantee their lives and their family lives, and then because otherwise you can see that their previous fightings, and then the military is being wiped out. The hundreds of rank and files were killed, and then even the high ranking officers are being killed. Not only battalion commanders, but also the divisional commanders, and the major generals was killed. So and then not only by switching the side to the people, not only save their own lives and their families, but also, and that they can be part of the restructuring or rebuilding of the nation. After this successful revolution, we help to build the country, and then so they can be the part of the force to rebuild the country for the peaceful, prosperous new federal democratic union.
And so, talking about the unity here, with regards to 1027, and this is apparently the most successful major offensive that we have seen to date. We keep hearing about the Three Brotherhood Alliance, right? As you said, the MNDAA, the TNLA, and the Arakan Army. Now, we're also seeing efforts made on all fronts against the military. To what extent is Operation 1027 a Three Brotherhood Alliance operation, and to what extent is this a unified effort among the different PDFs and the different EAOs?
Yeah, as I mentioned at the beginning, and the 1027 launched by the Three Brotherhood, AA, TNLA, and MNDAA. And if you can look at that, the statement from the 1027, they issued a statement on October 27 that clearly mentioned about their objectives. The key objectives are to get it out of military dictatorship from Myanmar once for all, and then also that to end the transnational crimes or online scam that becoming that lucrative business for military and their allied militia and border guards. So this 1027 operation is not just simply ordinary military operation. This is a military operation with the political objective of to end the military dictatorship in Myanmar for once for all. So this is a coordinated operation that you can see even in northern Shan state. Yes, dominant forces and leading forces are MNDAA in Kokan area and TNLA in Taong area, and the AA is part of the part of the brotherhood. And not only those three the ethnic revolutionary organizations, but also PDFs, and then also that other resistant revolutionary forces like PPLA, PLA, many resistant forces join fighting together in northern Shan state. And this has not happened overnight or 2-3 days preparation. This size of the operations prepare for quite some time. And then as you can see that soon after the 1027, and then we have the coordinated military offensive in the other states and regions like Kachin, Sakai, Chin, Karenni, Karen, Tanindari, so on and so forth. So, and then quickly the revolutionary forces overrun the military bases, and then also the towns, the strategically important towns from the military. We were able to liberate, and the people started enjoying freedom in those towns and the areas. So this is there's some initially some people are saying that this is the Three Brother operation, but now that you can clearly see that this is not just a Three Brother operation. This is an operation that the resistance forces coordinating and then fighting together. And for example, like in we were able to capture the first district level town in the Sagaing region, calling and under the #1 military region command, and then the command with the KIA leadership, and then also the PDF and the AA, so on and so forth. That we fought together, we coordinated the military operations. So this is unprecedented unity that we have in Myanmar, and then this is how that we all are united against a common enemy, which is the military dictatorship. We are fighting not for the regime change. We are fighting for the system change. We're not fighting for the leadership change. We are fighting for the system change. The Min Aung Hlaing, we don't want to replace Min Aung Hlaing with another military dictator, we want to replace military dictatorship with a genuine federal democracy.
And so you talk about these places and these people that have been liberated. So let's focus on the civilian side of things here. What is life like, and how is life different for people living in regions that have been liberated and people who are living in regions that are still notionally under military control?
Yeah, military terrorizing the country across country since they staged a coup on February 1st, 2021. And at first, they terrorized the people in the cities, peaceful demonstrators. They killed peaceful demonstrators, mostly the young people, students. And then that's how the people pick up the arms and then resisted to defend their towns and their villages. And the NUG, as a legitimate government of Myanmar, that we have a responsibility to protect our people and our country from the terrorist military. That's how the Ministry of Defense, MOD, the form that PDF, the organized PDFs, and then we have the military code of conduct, and then we form the PDFs, and then we train the PDF forces we're thankful to our partners, EROs, and then they train, they support it, and then like Three Brother is our trusted partner, and then like other EROs also our partners in this revolution. So that is why the people resisted against the military to end the terrorist military and to get the freedom back. And then, yes, our country is, like I mentioned, terrorized by the military. Either whether you live in the town or the villages, and that they are terrorizing everywhere. So liberated area, now that we have the liberated area, the our control areas, and then we started forming that people administrations, and that's providing that the governmental services, and then also that the restoration of law and order. Those are the people living under the military control area, especially in the cities. They live in the terror, and that they're being terrorized every day. And then so that's a two major difference. But one thing is that under the military control areas, and then they have to be afraid of military. They could be arrested for no reason, or they could be killed, or they could be kidnapped. They could be tortured. They could, and that's for many of them were arrested for the ransom, and so there's no law and order. So our resistance control area, those areas that you can start seeing that we have that people administration to form with the local leadership, and then also that the defense forces are protecting those areas for attack from the military, the terrorist military. And then we have the police forces, that we form the police forces to restore the law and order, and then judicial, the sector also that we started forming that. So, but still, we have to be very careful. Military has that air power, so that that's a danger for the civilians. Doesn't matter where they live, and whether the resistance control area or liberated area, or the military control area. And then those airstrikes are mainly targeted to the civilian targets, and then even the religious facilities, schools and hospitals. So the two major different thing is that as we liberated more area, as we expanded more control areas, and now we are establishing the administrations, and then that's based on the Federal Democracy Charter that we all agree on. And but this is a time, the revolution time, and then not just a regular time to build that government administration services, but that we are doing very innovative way, and with the people's support. And then those administrative services not only trying to protect from people from the military, but also they're delivering the government services, and in the towns like the municipality services, and then also like healthcare services, and then education, and as simple as trying to restore the electricities and trying to restore the communication, that almost all the infrastructure were being destroyed by the military. So that's what that we are working towards. And then I would say that this is the most innovative revolution in the war history that you may remember. And then that we are fighting against the powerful military force with the air and sea and artillery, but at the same time we are administering and providing the government services with a very limited resources and the very limited international support.
So I just want to focus on this a little bit. Like you mentioned the airstrikes. Now, what we have been hearing for some time is that the military is having difficulty securing jet fuel, and the military is having difficulty securing replacement parts for its aircraft. Have you seen or have you noticed any decline in the airstrikes by the military, or are they continuing to do the same things that they were doing in 2021, 2022?
So we're hopeful that with the international community, especially the democratic countries, imposing the sanction against the jet fuels. But this is not the worldwide sanctions. This is a limited sanction from a few leading countries. And we are very thankful for that. Yes, so we can see that they will have the difficulty in obtaining those jet fuels, but they still have a lot of loopholes. And that they may pay the higher prices. They may have to pay the higher prices because of the sanction, but they still get in through. So we need to close down the loopholes. And then, yes, they are having the difficulty in their finance. They clearly see that for example, right now, they don't even give that foreign exchange to import the companies for importing the fuel, regular fuels, so that they have to use the dollar from the black market. But they are consolidating all the available resources for the military, for example, jet fuels, and the manufacturing those bombs or acquiring more heavy weapons. They have to rely more and more on heavy artillery and the air powers. In Rakhine State, you can see that they are using the warships, the Navy warships and frigates. They are attacking the cities and towns because on the ground, the infantry units are collapsing. They don't have fighting powers. So in order to support the infantry units, and then the military are using more air powers and the heavy artilleries. So that I would say that they still able to fly the jets and attack helicopters to kill the civilians. And as of I can see that some reports that I see the very disturbing video from the northern Chan state that they are dropping the cluster bombs in the towns against the civilians. So that remember that they are receiving the support, military support from Russia, and then Russians are supplying those the fighter jets and the spare parts, and then Russian pilots are even training the Burmese pilots in Myanmar, and there's some rumors, or I hope that be rumors, that some reports are indicating that Russian pilots are flying the jets and they're dropping the bombs, but we couldn't confirm yet. But for sure, Russian pilots are in Myanmar, training those terrorist military pilots to kill the civilians. And the Russians are providing and supplying parts, training, and then the hardware. So that unfortunately, the military is still able to fly the Air Force jet fighters and attack on helicopters like Mi-35. We need that UN, ASEAN, and the world community to make sure that they would to ban the arms embargo and the jet fuel embargoes against the military junta.
And I do want to come back to what the international community could be doing and what the international community should be doing in a second. But I do want to circle back. You spoke about, in the liberated areas, you spoke about the restoration of law and order. And I think that's a topic that we don't speak about enough. We generally have an understanding that in situations where there is civil war, where there is a collapse of government, we can look around the world to examples right now in Ethiopia, examples in Ukraine, examples in Syria. We tend to see high levels of crime. We tend to see decline in safety, and we tend to have a situation where it doesn't matter who's in charge. Life for the civilians is pretty difficult. Now, restoration of law and order is one of the most difficult things that a government can do during a conflict and even after a conflict. What does that look like under the National Unity Government? How much law and order has been restored to these liberated territories?
Yes, yes. So we are working with our ethnic allies to restore the law and orders in our control areas. And then, like I mentioned, we already set up the people administration across Myanmar. And under NUG set up that 170 township level people administrations. And then we are setting up the district level, the people's administration, interim administration, as we expanding our territory controls to be effectively providing the governmental services, restoring law and order, and then also the justice system. And then in ethnic minority, ethnic regions, ethnic states, remember that our ultimate goal is, our objective is to build a genuine federal democratic union. So based on the federal democracy charter, and then we are working everything based on the federal democracy charter. And then, for example, in Karenni states, and the resistance forces control the vast majority of Karenni states. Even now, we are fighting to capture the Karenni state capital, Loico. And then outside of the Loico area, all the military bases being captured by the resistance forces. And then now we are fighting in the city. And then we are controlling over half of the city right now in Loico. And so let me go back to that administration. In Karenni states, we have the interim executive council. That's an interim state government to managing the state affairs, like in other countries, like federal democracy country, for example, in the United States. And this is a state government. So this, and then they are coordinating with NUG, and then so that they are building not building, they have the state police force to restore law and order. They are expanding police force, and also that they are building that they have a state justice system, the court, and so those are the despite of that military, they call it forecasts, that we have the supplies. We're doing that the humanitarian assistance, providing the humanitarian assistance to the displaced people, and then after liberating those areas, and we capture from the terrorist military, the revolution forces, the local administration, civilian administration teams coordinating to bring back the displaced people back to their homes. And then many of homes are destroyed by the military and try to rebuild those their properties and stuff. And the same things are happening across country. For example, in the Gai region, they're calling the district town, and the military destroy all the communications and the electricity services. Our teams are trying to rebuild the communication and the electricities, and then also that we trying to run the banking system there, because there's banks, state banks and private banks, and then we have, even before that, we already have that directive for the banking. We have the interim central banks, and then we have the policy and directives how to run those banks, how to make the systematically so and so forth. So every area that we are working the efficiently as possible, and the biggest challenge is that we have so many displaced people. So many people have to forced to leave their homes, and so that many of them, when they return, there's no homes, and then many of them still stay in the jungle or nearby villages, and those people we have to help. We need help to support those people to rebuild their lives back to normal lives, and so those are the things that we are expanding our governmental services. And then in the states, ethnic states, also ethnic regions, also they are working towards the interim of the administration. For example, the recent days, the MNDAA announced, Kukan announced that administration services in their newly liberated towns and areas, so that as a military success, and then the local administration follows to make sure that there's no collapse of the law and order. But law and order already collapsed by the terrorist military. We are rebuilding and restoring the law and order. So that's as we win the more territory militarily, and then our administration services are the follow behind that, and then we are running effectively as much as possible.
So on this theme then, like of interim administration obviously is designed to give way to permanent administration. So, we're being told all sorts of numbers, but basically at this point, all of the analysts agree, even if they can't say when, the fall of the military is guaranteed. They're losing too many men too fast, too much territory. They cannot maintain it. They cannot come back. So if the junta falls tomorrow, or whenever they fall, what is the NUG going to do to transition from interim administration to stable, long-term, permanent administration without these concerns that we've been hearing from all sides, that the various ethnic organizations and the ethnic controlled territories might want to separate, gain complete independence, begin fighting against the NUG, lead to a disintegration of the country, and so on? What is the plan for transition to a democratic, single, unified Myanmar?
First of all, I would like to mention that I agree with you that the military will definitely fall, like almost all observers saying that right now. Second thing is that I would disagree with some observers worry about that the resistant revolution forces might fighting each other or disintegration of the country. It will not happen. It will be, New Myanmar will be stronger, and peaceful, and more united Myanmar. The reason that I will give you the reasons. If you can see that on the ground, that we are fighting together as one force, coordinating, and then we are in unity, most united time in our history. Some people may say that yes, you guys are united to fighting against a common enemy. That's why and then after that, your common enemy gone, and the people will put their own interests. That's a normal. The people have their own interests. There's nothing wrong with that. And that each group has their own interests. There's nothing wrong with that. But everybody in Myanmar, doesn't matter NUG or LDF or PDF or ERO, everybody agree that New Myanmar will have to be united and strong federal democratic union that guarantee equality and self-determination and justice for all. That's for including Rohingya and then ethnic minorities, religious minorities. And then none of the groups wants to leave this country. None of the group saying that, oh, we want 100% independent. No one is saying, no one's claiming. Everybody is fighting for the federal democratic union. But federal democracy have a different type of federal democracy. There are some people saying about confederation, this and that. And then if you look at the federal democratic country like the United States or Canada or South Africa or India, the different countries have different system, federal system. What we are doing is that we are coordinating in the political discussions what type of the federal democratic system that we want for our people of Myanmar. That's me, including the Burma ethnic and all ethnic nationalities. We have equal rights, and all ethnic people will have the self-determination. And so those are the things that we are discussing, we are coordinating, and that's why that we may be arguing on the negotiation table, discussion table, for the same cause, but we're not going to turn against each other to fight like the enemy. That will never happen. We all are one. So we all in the same boat. So, and then in order to avoid that, we have the strong foundations. Like I just mentioned about the local administration, interim administrations. Those are the basic the foundation. And we have the state level interim administrations. Like Guarani State and the Chin State also, the is in the work in progress, and current state also, and so on and so forth. So so that our NUG control area also we have that interim administration, and then that's a central committee led by union prime ministers. That we have the coordination the coordination activities every week, so regularly happening. So and then also between NUG and the state, the ethnic states, the interim administrations also we are working together, and then also as a federal democratic union to build a federal democratic union, resource sharing also the one of the key things. So we started doing the resource sharing activities between the NUG and the ethnic organizations. So those are the things that we started building, and then also that we have the Federal Democracy Charter, Part 1 and Part 2. And then Part 1 is also approved in the People Assembly. That's including hundreds of organizations. That's including the elected members of parliament, CRPH, and NUG is part of that, and the political parties, EROs, civil societies, and so on and so forth. So that according to that, we have three major phases. Right now is an interim period. Interim periods, and now we have NUG as an interim government. And our main activity is to end that military dictatorship, and then we put the foundation for the transition period. And then we are that's part of that is that we are also working towards the transition constitutional arrangement. The FTC Part 2 is an interim constitutional arrangement. And then there's the building the constitution is a huge step. So we have a joint coordination committee working together. And so the ones that, like your answer or question, that if the military fall tomorrow, we have the roadmap, we have a plan, and that we will have a transitional government, and the transition government will lead that period, and then the federal constitution will be widely consultation with the people across Myanmar, and then will be approved by the people of Myanmar, and then we'll have the inclusive, the free and fair election. We are building towards an inclusive democracy, inclusive federalism, and then the third stage is that the new federal the union will be formed after the election. So those are the stages that we have. So each stage is a very important stage, and then right now is we are united, and we will be united in the transition period, and that will be the everybody will enjoy at that time. Will enjoy the equality and self-determination and justice.
So, do you have any particular concerns? Like Myanmar is such a complicated country, and until recently, the Arakan army were sort of sitting on the sidelines. They weren't pro-military, but they weren't pro-NUG. They were sort of biding their time. Organizations like the UWSA, again, they seem to be sitting on the fence, biding their time. There are also ethnic armed organizations that I understand are still with the military. They are still in alliance with the military. Do you have any concerns that there will be some ethnic organizations, even if the military falls tomorrow, who will not want to be part of this nation-building process and will see this just as an opportunity to gain independence for themselves?
I don't have a big concern about that. Yes, people may have a disagreement, but what I'm saying is that people may have a disagreement how to build a political system. But everybody agrees that we have a federal democratic union. And for Arakan Army is part of the Three Brotherhood. That we're working together with Three Brotherhood, and then we are fighting together on the ground together with Arakan Army. And as I mentioned, when we captured the calling, the fighting for the calling, the Arakan Army was part of that. The fighting together with NUG forces, NUG PDFs, and the leader under the leadership of the KIA. So that the ethnic armed groups fighting together. That now Arakan Army is fighting against the military forces in Rakhine, not only in Rakhine State, but also in the Shan State, northern Shan State, in the Sagaing region, and then also in the Chin State as well, together with the other resistant forces. So, and then also that for UWSA, what is officially what is in neutral, even though they against the military coup, but they not formally aligned with the Spring Revolution forces. But we, as a NUG, as a government, we have an engagement with the UWSA, not only UWSA, but also all ethnic organizations, the armed or political organization as well. So the UWSA also clearly stated that they will not leave Myanmar. So they will be part of the Myanmar, and they want to solve the issues, political issues, on the dialogue and then negotiation table. That's their official stand. And but we have the understanding and then also the engagement with them. That you mentioned, the third group that you mentioned, some ethnic groups are aligning with the SAC. Yes, some of them are aligning with SAC, but most of them are very weak, actually non-significant in militarily. Like APL, like some organization may have maybe 100 or 200 armed groups, armed soldiers. So but that's a one that you mentioned. I think you indicated those NCA group. So within even that, RCSS is the largest and the sizable among them. The even RCSS officially declared against a military coup, even though they attended the negotiation and discussion with the SAC. But recently, RCSS signed the ceasefire agreement with SSPP. SSPP is totally against a military coup. So, so that you can see that different development happening politically and military, not only militarily but also politically. So that the ceasefire agreement between two Shang groups, SSPP and RCSS, is a uh, actually the attack on the military, and the military will be the junta will be more weaker because of this ceasefire agreement. So to to answer your question in short, and we do have a regular engagement with all ethnic groups, including those AA and Three Brotherhood, and then but at the same time, the NCA, the groups are very. I mean, they know that they know that what they're doing is incorrect, wrong, and then they are not a major the player either militarily or politically in the today's landscape.
And so you also speak about the various steps that are necessary to move towards a federal democratic system, and they do have to be taken, one by one. You can't have elections until you have a constitution that defines the method of those elections. Does the NUG have any sort of estimated timeline for the moment from which the military falls to the point at which actual elections can physically be held?
As far as I know, we don't have the set timeline. We do have the stages, right? So next stage is to form the transitional government, inclusive transition government. So that's transitional government will lead and then to implement the election process. Before that is that we need to get the new constitution to be approved by the people. So that would be the first step towards, and then an election to come, and then a fight. So I don't see that the long every like the long term, but it will be short time as possible that we will be doing, because we want to build this stable, the peaceful, democratic federal union as soon as possible. This is only way to make sure our people will get the full benefit of the equality, self-determination, and justice, and also that we can build the prosperous country together.
And so I think one final category of actor that we haven't spoken about, that we haven't focused on, is the international community. Now, the international community has done some things, that certain steps have been taken. Sanctions have definitely been placed. There have been resolutions passed at different levels, whether by individual governments or all the way up to supranational organizations. But the NUG has repeatedly called for the international community to do more. President Dualashila just recently was published calling for weaponry from the West. What is it really that the international community could be doing to help Myanmar? What is it that they morally should be doing to help Myanmar?
Yeah, we do appreciate the international community's support, especially the humanitarian support. But many of the support go through that SAC, the NAPIDO, that never reach to the most vulnerable people. And there is a waste of the international community, that taxpayer dollar. So number one, right now, since 1027, and according to UN OCHA, the newly displaced people, about 500,000 people, just over a month now. The international community must, without delay, provide the emergency humanitarian assistance in coordination with NUG and ethnic organization and co-organization on the ground to direct assistance to the displaced people. Almost all the displaced people are living under the control area of the resistance forces. So the cross-border assistance will be the effective humanitarian emergency humanitarian assistance. And then, as you mentioned, the acting president called for the international support, and then to end this brutal military dictatorship and terrorist military dictators, and with less blood. That means that giving the military assistance able to protect civilians, especially for the air defense. But acting president mentioned that if international community cannot provide the military assistance like the air defense system, they could provide that non-lethal, the early warning system. This way that we could effectively save thousands of lives. Recently, the ethnic organizations like TNLA mentioned that their forces being attacked by the military with the chemical bombs in 2 different places. Kokan MNDA also mentioned about that their forces being attacked with a chemical bomb in one place. And then yesterday, and the military used the cluster bombs against the civilians in northern Shan states. So clearly that we need effective the defensive system that we need from the international community to save lives, mainly to save civilian lives. And then also that the international community could prepare to help that nation building, restructuring of the country, rebuilding of the country. Since the coup attempt in 2021, about 90,000 the homes, properties, including religious facilities, hospitals, and schools were burned down by the military. So those undertaking will be huge undertaking that we have to do that. And then now I mentioned that we in our country and NUG and the ethnic organization implementing the interim administration in our control areas with very little support from international. And the international community could provide the financial and technical support for the local administration to provide the governmental services, restoring the law and order and the justice systems and the capacity building. So those are the things that international community could do right now to end the military dictatorship as soon as possible, to save the innocent lives, and then to build the peaceful, stable, prosperous country, and to be part of that the international community, that we could contribute the development of the regional development, and then even the world economy. That we are naturally, we are resourceful country, resource-rich country. We have a talented people, resilient, and the people who would rebuild the country. So international community should prepare to help our resilient people.
And that raises an important question as well. The state of the economy, the state of the country. It's not just the military and the bombs that are causing devastation. Obviously, the prices have been increasing. Food shortages are there. I was hearing today individual eggs are costing 300 kyat. You used to be able to get them for 100. A liter of oil is costing 4,800 kyat. Before the coup, you could get it for 1,800. Prices have more than doubled, in some cases tripled. And this is not something that will magically disappear when the military falls. Is the NUG thinking about ways in which the economy can be revitalized, food stores and lines of transportation of goods can be rebuilt and brought back online, basically? And is there any time frame for how long the NUG thinks this might take?
To rebuild the nation, and then as you know, that will take some time. So we do have the plan, and then we that's why we are requesting international community to prepare, to commit, and support for the rebuilding of the country. And to rebuild the country require a lot of resources. Yes, in short, like you mentioned, the basic necessity that we have to do it right away without delay. So those are the things that we will be focusing on the day one. And but that would be the short-term solution will not solve the country the already damaged economic infrastructure. There is no economic infrastructure left in Myanmar. The military dictators already destroyed, and that they built the infrastructure for themselves to be rich, and not for the people. So even the banking system, there is no banking system that the proper banking system, even though there's a banks, because the banking also controlled by the military. There might be in name the private bank, but private banks that run under the military directives. So that's why we have the interim central bank to rebuild the financial institution, and that to keep running the financial institution with a very little damage to the ordinary people. But in order to build that, we need capacity building. That's why I mentioned earlier that providing the capacity building, the financial and technical assistance for that implementation of that local interim administration services we are building across the country without help from international community. Very little help, if any. So we are doing our own with innovative way, but we need international community to support and help. And that's this way that we could build a country as soon as possible, back to stable and prosperity.
And so I think we've covered quite a lot of ground here. And as we come towards the end of our interview, the tradition that we always have on the show is that we like to finish by giving our guests the opportunity to voice some thoughts or a message to the audience directly, something that you want to emphasize, something that you want the audience to bear in their mind as they go on about their day. And so in thanking you for coming on and sharing your time and sharing your insight with us, I'd like to invite you to just share some final thoughts for our listeners now.
Yeah, I just want to mention that the military is collapsing, and it's just a matter of time. We will win. Spring Revolution will be won, and then people's revolution will win. So we're going to rebuild. We're going to build a genuine federal democratic union that peaceful, stable, and guarantee for equality, self-determination, and justice for all. But one thing is that we are doing innovative way, and not only on the military level, but also the economic sectors, and also administration sectors. And this revolution is I would say that the most innovative revolutions in the world history. The reason is that we are fighting against the mighty military dictatorship, and in a very short period of time, just over 2.5 years, and then we are winning because of the people's support, and then also with our innovative way. A very little known interim administration services successfully we are implementing in our control area, and then also the ethnic states also implementing interim administration services in their own states. So that's why those are the ones that guarantee for our future new Myanmar be strong and stable. And then we do have a federal democracy charter, and that also the basic foundation that makes sure that we will build the peaceful, the prosperous federal democratic union for everyone in our country. So thank you.
We want to take a moment to introduce you to our nonprofit Better Burma's online shop, which features handicrafts sourced from artisan communities scattered throughout Myanmar. Far from being mass-produced knockoffs, the pieces we offer are unique and handmade, reflecting the wide diversity of different peoples found throughout the country. When Myanmar experienced its transition period, moving from democracy in the late 2010s after decades of harsh military dictatorship, many Burmese craftspeople hoped their beautiful work could finally be appreciated beyond the country. When Myanmar experienced its transition period, moving towards democracy in the late 2010s after decades of harsh military dictatorship, many Burmese craftspeople hoped their beautiful work could finally be appreciated beyond the country's borders. But sadly, this was not to be so. Following the military coup, many skilled artisans suddenly found all possibility of continuing their livelihood closed off and began struggling just to feed their families. With this in mind, we prioritize working with artisans from disadvantaged and vulnerable backgrounds because we know just how hard it can be to survive at the margins of society in Myanmar. This includes such people as those with disabilities, mothers who have contracted HIV/AIDS, civil servants on CDM, ethnic and religious minorities, and more. To view these wonderful pieces, please visit alokacrafts.com. That's Aloka, A-L-O-K-A, crafts, C-R-A-F-T-S. One word, alokacrafts.com. Otherwise, please consider a donation through our usual channels. If you would like to join in our mission to support those in Myanmar who are being impacted by the military coup, we welcome your contribution in any form, currency, or transfer method. Your donation will go on to support a wide range of humanitarian and media missions, aiding those local communities who need it most. Donations are directed to such causes as the Civil Disobedience Movement, CDM, families of deceased victims, internally displaced person IDP camps, food for impoverished communities, military defection campaigns, undercover journalists, refugee camps, monasteries and nunneries, education initiatives, the purchasing of protective equipment and medical supplies, COVID relief, and more. We also make sure that our donation fund supports a diverse range of religious and ethnic groups across the country. We invite you to visit our website to learn more about past projects, as well as upcoming needs. You can give a general donation or earmark your contribution to a specific activity or project you would like to support, perhaps even something you heard about in this very episode. All of this humanitarian work is carried out by our nonprofit mission, Better Burma. Any donation you give on our Insight Myanmar website is directed towards this fund. Alternatively, you can also visit the Better Burma website, betterburma.org, and donate directly there. In either case, your donation goes to the same cause, and both websites accept credit card. You can also give via PayPal by going to paypal.me/betterburma. Additionally, we can take donations through Patreon, Venmo, GoFundMe, and Cash App. Simply search Better Burma on each platform and you'll find our account. You can also visit either website for specific links to these respective accounts or email us at info@betterburma.org. That's Better Burma, one word, spelled BETTERBURMA.org. If you would like to give it another way, please contact us. We also invite you to check out our range of handicrafts that are sourced from vulnerable artisan communities across Myanmar, available at alokacrafts.com. Any purchase will not only support these artisan communities, but also our nonprofit's wider mission. That's Aloka Crafts, spelled ALOKACRAFTS, one word, alokacrafts.com. Thank you so much for your kind consideration and support.
Oba yarananda dayananga yaranaya dayanam boda yaranam